Little behind, eh?
Yeah. Hi, welcome back to Unique Minds of the Okanagan. I'm Robb, and we're on location in Penticton with the incredible Steve Jones. How are you, my friend?
Wonderful. Great to see you.
It's good to be in your house,
Oh.
in your area of creation, and to see you again.
Oh, it's been a while.
It's been too long.
Yeah.
Why don't you basically tell the people who you are, where you're from, and how you got into being a musician?
Absolutely. Hello, everybody. I'm Steve Jones. I am originally from Vancouver, BC, 41st and Fraser. But when I came up here, my wife and I moved up here 1991. I got involved with a band called Loose Change in the mid-90s at the old Barking Parrot in Penticton. And then, went on. I joined the Amazing Rubber Band. Had a lot of fun. We've done a lot of recording. And then I went on my own. I have a bunch of stuff that I've written, and I love to be able to put them down on tape. And I've had a lot of luck doing that and knowing some great musicians. Boy, do we have some great musicians in this area.
We do.
You know, Kyle, Tavis Weir, it's just like there's just so many. You got Ari, you got, Will Slackle. It's just amazing, right? Great, great talent.
It's very true.
Yeah.
The Okanagan is extremely diverse. And I think you bring a very unique sound to the Okanagan because it's not an Okanagan sound.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're the only non-English person I know who can write music that sounds like it comes out of Europe.
Excellent. Very nice. Thank
UK,
you.
So I find we worked together years and years ago, and you introduced me to your music, and still to this day, Pictures. It's one of my favorite songs for, I would classify as indie, but it's not, it's rock. But I still to this day absolutely love that song.
Oh, well, that's great.
I don't know about it. There's just something about that entire album was so well done.
I wrote that song here in this house. I was sitting down at the water, or at least down at the bottom, facing the water, and I was actually trying to write a totally different song. And then all of a sudden this just pictures came into my head, and I just dropped everything, ran upstairs, and just started writing it down like crazy.
It is a beautiful song.
Oh, thank you.
And how many albums deep are you in now, solo, not with the Amazing Rubber Band?
Right, I have 4 solo studio albums, and then 1 live album, and another album called So Shiny Objects, and that's another studio album, but it's with another artist.
Okay.
And he's in Scotland. He's married to my second cousin, Owen Hodgson, and he is an amazing talent, and I'm very lucky to be able to work with him. So yeah, I guess 5 studio albums and a live.
Wow. And that's over. And you've been here in the Okanagan since the 90s doing music.
Yes.
How have you noticed the Okanagan scene change in I guess it would be 35 years?
Yeah.
Just under 35 years?
A lot. A lot more DJs now.
Yeah.
You don't get the live bands so much, but there's still like incredible musicians. And also I'm finding that that there are places that are opening up that are starting to have live music again. Here in Okanagan Falls, OK Falls, they've got that Rise and Shine restaurant there, and now doing live music every Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Wild Goose in the summertime, live music. So it's great because it's only 3 minutes away for me. Steve Jones on the road.
Yeah. That's funny. Over when you're creating, because I want to dive into how you write music and how you explore it as a musician. So like you were saying, you were down at the lake trying to write a different song, for example, with Pictures. And when you get locked into your creative juices, do you find that when you're trying to guide it in a certain direction, it never wants to go that flow?
You definitely want to give it its own legs, but you have a starting point. At least for me, I have a starting point. Okay, do I want to do a hard rock song? Do I want to do a fast song? Do I want to do a slow song? So I do decide that right off the bat. What do I want? What style and what pace do I want to do? But then, like I explained before, you're thinking about one thing and all of a sudden this other thing comes up, and so it's allowed to have its own legs, but it's good to have a starting point, because the worst thing you want is that empty page staring at you.
Yeah.
What am I writing? And half the time, I'm about a quarter way through writing the song, and I have no idea what this song's about yet. I don't know where it's going. You know, I like that part.
I was going to say, I find that's a running theme with a lot of writers. Bob Marley was a huge advocate of, he didn't write his lyrics. They were given to him by something higher or an energy, and it just, when you're writing it, you don't really know what you're writing about. And I think that's the weirdest concept of being a musician.
Well, that's really, because Bob Marley, I mean, great writer.
There's a lot. Even Eminem says, like, if you want to go into rap, like, it's almost as like a power takes over you, or something else is like flowing through you and helping you write these lyrics, and then down the road you end up like realizing and putting two and two together that the lyrics you wrote are connecting with something that happens in your life at this moment.
Very good. I like that a lot. Somebody just recently, about 3 weeks ago, asked me what one of my songs, Clear Blue Sky, asked, what is Clear Blue Sky about? And, you know, that came out in 2008. And for the longest time, I had no idea. But then I realized it was actually about crossing over.
Okay.
And so it was, you know, just everything's going to be all right kind of thing. And, you know, and just the way, because I thought it was going to be more about a relationship.
Okay.
And then it turned out it's more than that. It's not a girl boy thing. It actually turned out to be more of a crossing over.
It's kind of an interesting concept when you like when we go into the writing process, and for example, like we want to write a song about grief. That's what we're thinking about when we're writing, for example, right? And then when your song is done, and you look back at it like 3 months down the road, and it hits you in a totally different perspective, and then it kind of changes the way you thought of the song. Right. I find that happens to me a lot with the stuff that I write. And
also, because you're saying when we write a song, so you're writing
collectively,
you're writing with other
humans
people.
As people too, and artists. Like,
yeah.
Does that happen with you, where you'll write something and you, like you said, you don't know what it is, but then down the road, like that lesson hits, and you're like, oh wow.
Oh, that's what I meant.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you foreseen it.
Yes.
And you wrote it down, and you wrote it into a song, and then it happens, and it's weird. That's one thing there's a reoccurring theme throughout the show when we talk to musicians, is that it's almost a spiritual aspect. It's not like, because it's so internal inside of you when you're writing music, and it is a very personal thing that you want to spread to people, that you don't understand the lessons you're trying to teach yourself. I guess it would be is the easiest way to say it. And it takes other people, like you said, what is the song about? And you're like, I don't actually know. I've never sat down to think about it. Then you start to read your own lyrics, and you hear your music as the person listening, not as the writer, the producer.
Right.
Because you're going to be criticizing yourself.
It never ends.
And down. Yeah, it never ends.
It never ends.
So to be able to step outside of like yourself, hear your music, and realize what it is a very challenging thing. And I think that having friends that are other musicians kind of help me personally realize like what I'm capable of, and I don't realize it. And I've there's other musicians that I talk to where that same concept flows through them, where
they're seeing something in you that you don't see in yourself,
and vice versa.
Yeah,
there's things that people see in them, right?
Yeah.
And then that helps them realize like, oh, this is what I am as an artist, and this is what I'm actually writing about, versus like what I think or you would think you're writing about.
Yeah, it's funny. People have so many different ways of writing, and I have written with other people, and everybody is different. I know that with the Full Circle album, so we recorded that in 1999. It's reel to reel. Actually, I have it in that box over there. It's an actual reel to reel.
That's so cool.
Yeah, yeah. And so there was the guitar player, Dave Knight. incredible talent. He played for the Stampeders, and he was just a great guy. But boy, you know, writing with him was very interesting because I knew he wouldn't have anything when he came to the practice. So I thought, well, I'm going to come up with a chord progression, and then I'll get into the chorus, and I'll have the line, "It's easy," you know, just have "It's easy" in there, and the whole chord progression, and I just give it to him, and he'd run into a corner and write down all the words.
That's awesome.
So it was kind of triggering him, you know, to here, you know, here's a starting point for you, and then he would run away and, of course, kill it. He was awesome, amazing talent, Dave Knight. Yeah. Great guy. Actually, he was the guy I replaced in the Amazing Rubber Band.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he was in the he was an original member of the Amazing Rubber Band. And he had to move to Montreal or something, or Edmonton, something. And so I left Loose Change, and I got into Amazing Rubber Band. I replaced him, and then he stayed, and he says, "Wait a minute." But he was great.
So funny.
Super guy, yeah.
How long was the rubber band together?
I left in 2012, so I think Kyle started it in 97 or 98, and I joined it in December 99. And yeah, we had a great run, 12 years. We got a lot of accolades, super busy. Crazy busy. It was nuts. You remember, I was working
every day on the beach outside the Parrot and
every
stuff.
day.
Yeah, everywhere. No, it's incredible because like going from where you went from postering, like you were postering and you're getting shows and you put the posters out and people come versus now.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference. So to be able to hear, I guess, how it's changed through the decades, because you being in the 90s and then the early 2000s is kind of where I started to get into the music scene and realizing postering was slowly starting to die.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden it turned into like the MySpace age, and like so I got to see the end tail of like the hard grind of musicians into the internet era of grind. And I'm stuck in the middle. Yeah. And I'm still trying to figure out what's the best route. Do you over your 12 years with just the rubber band?
Yeah.
What were your guys' biggest challenges as it evolved?
There was only 24 hours in a day. That was our problem. I mean, our problem, because we had, the answer is yes. Now, what is the question? That was our thing.
Okay.
Yes, and how long, where, when, what time? That it was always yes. So we just played like crazy. That was our problem, was that there was only 24 hours in a day. And so, because we were so busy. And it was a lot of fun too. No original music, it was all cover stuff, but we almost kind of brought a Smothers Brothers to it, you know? So Kyle and I were just horsing around all the time. Yeah. We had all these posings, little stupid humor stuff. We love that kind of stuff. Yeah, yeah.
No, people enjoyed it, and I think it shows, because or else you wouldn't have been asked so much to perform, right? Like, it's not like you were doing something that wasn't... Taking yourself too serious is it will be the biggest detriment of your career.
I agree with you.
In any genre that you're in. Like,
yeah. But I did that for 12 years, and I also did it with the Loose Change before, and that was great. But I had all these songs, and those were all cover bands, and that's a lot of fun. I'd actually never done that. I never did that in Vancouver at all. I never did that at all. So I only did that here. And but I had all these songs. And then Kyle was getting right into, and so we're graduating, going from the poster time, and you're getting into the internet, right? And so what's the difference? That was a huge difference. We recorded every performance. We recorded everything. And we used to have to transfer it onto the computer at real time. And so you had to go home and sit down for 3 hours and listen to the damn thing. You know, nowadays it's just boom, right?
Yeah.
And so those were the differences, yeah. And we really rode that wave, because we started recording everything. We put out our first rubber band. We put out 04, 05, and 09. We put out 3 albums. And just the changing, you're talking about the internet and the just being able to communicate. I'm here, you're all the way over there in Scotland. I just send you a file, and you're going to put orchestra over top of it, send it back to me. We're going to level it out, and that's the difference.
Yeah, I can imagine that was pretty mind-blowing, in the sense of not having to physically have to hire those kind of musicians come into the studio
Oh,
anymore.
oh, and Owen there. So he's in Scotland. So I send him those tracks. We do Clear Blue Sky, the whole album. And then this is Owen for you. So he's in northern Scotland, Aberdeen, even further north of Aberdeen. And he says, okay. I say, well, I'm gonna do a CD release. Oh, all right. So I'm coming. I'm gonna play. Oh, okay. So he leaves on Thursday. He arrives on Friday. We rehearse on Saturday, and we play on Sunday, and he leaves on Monday. It's like, Jesus. Owen.
That's rock star. That is rock star life right there.
And he just came on his own dime, you know.
That's incredible.
Yeah. That's Owen.
That is rock star. That is wow.
Yeah. One rehearsal. But he had done all the orchestra. He knew everything. He knew the whole stuff, but he just sat down at the piano. Oh yeah, he's just one of those guys.
Yeah, I find people who play piano are a step above any other musician. I don't know why.
Well, their brain, they're using you're using so many parts of your brain that it's really quite impressive. Drummers, same thing.
Well, it's a percussive instrument, right? Piano. That's why drummers and piano work so well.
Which was always so hard for me to understand.
Yeah. I mean, as a drummer, I'm like, I understand drums, but piano, like, I look at a piano and like most people can see like a guitar fretboard when they look at the piano. Mm-hmm. I just see white and black keys, and I know if I play the black keys together, it sounds pretty, and if I play the white ones together, it kind of has a darker tone.
There you are. Okay.
So,
see, you're
like, I'm terrible with theory, so like understanding any of that kind of stuff is like over my head.
But that's okay.
I
You
play what I
feel
feel.
it.
Yeah, and
You
I feel
feel
like
it.
that's what I always have this conversation with my friends who are theory trained. It's like, you're not gonna be able to write music that's as deep because you're so focused on theory versus not being able to write technical stuff because you're not theory educated, but you're writing emotional based songs.
You know, you can be, have all your theory, but if you're constantly playing to the chart, if you always have the music in front of you, then you're losing something, I think. I think that, so if you take away the chart, take away the music, visual, and just feel it there. I've heard many piano players who say, put the chart away and feel it. Yeah. You know, it's great to learn all that stuff. Really, really important to know it all too. It really is. It helps like crazy. But boy, you know, watching some people, Ryan Chick, I remember he's playing Bacchanalia at the hotel in Penticton there, and so I got pressed A and I say, hey, and he's great. He just sits down at the grand piano and he's just playing, and I'm talking to him while he's playing. So the mics are on, and the ballroom and the Bacchanalia, everybody's trying wine. And so, hey, Ryan, how's it going? Oh, great. Yeah, it's all fine. What are you playing? I have no idea.
There's something incredible about that.
Yeah.
I used to do that as a child, where like my neighbor, shout out to Noah and Gabe, but they had a piano and Noah was always taking lessons. And I was always jealous because he could play piano. And I would just like sit there and hit notes. And either was like, what song is that? I don't know. And they're like, well, that's not a song. And then as I grew up, I realized like, you can create songs.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, for like a long time as a child, I didn't realize like people were writing this. So I thought it was like, kind of like nursery rhymes.
Just
like
was
it's
there.
there. It's just there, right? So like when you hit that stage that like, oh, these are people actually writing new songs, and like that was a huge eye opener for me as a child. I think I was like 5 when that like concept clicked in, and I was like, oh wow, like these aren't like nursery rhymes or like songs that we're constantly having to be taught.
Yeah.
It's like, it's weird.
Well, the Beatles, they got into writing because all the bands who were in the same town, they all had the same records, and so they were all playing the same songs. And so if you're the third one on the talent list, like if you're at a talent show and you're going to do a set, and there's 3 bands before you, well, they're playing half of your set. And so by the time you get up, so they decided, well, we're going to write our own songs, so that way then they won't be playing them.
Genius.
Fortunately enough, it worked.
Yeah, still to this day the greatest band.
I think they're going to make it.
I think they'll make it there
They're
eventually.
going to stick around.
That's funny. Yeah, I never knew that. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I found actually for me, early in my time is that playing guitar, because I don't know theory either, so playing guitar, I didn't know how to play anybody else's songs, so I just wrote my own. And I figured they weren't playing mine, so why should I play theirs?
Oh, I'm using that from now on. That is so good.
If you want me to play your songs, then,
Well, then
you gotta play mine.
Oh man, that is so priceless. That's funny. So from Vancouver, you were writing originals in Vancouver?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I had a brother, Ken, and he.
No, we were talking about this before.
Yeah, and he played guitar. He didn't know theory either. He was very much a child of the early '70s, and yeah, singer-songwriter, right, that sort of thing. And he taught me. He taught me a lot about guitar. I actually learned 3 chords from a guy by the name of John Smith. John Smith taught Steve Jones 3 chords. I just think that's just too funny. John Smith taught Steve Jones 3 chords.
Love it.
And I ran home after he taught me D, A, and G. And I ran home and I wrote 3 songs.
That's awesome.
They all sucked, but but that was the beginning. And then I watched Ken, and he was pretty good. I liked what he was doing, and I really wanted to do that. And anyway, so we got right into it, and yeah.
That's crazy. So, did you guys ever play together in a band? Being siblings?
You know, there was a short period of time where we did play in Kitsilano. There was a coffee shop there, and it was very hippie, and Ken got in there, and then Ken and I always played at home, and my sister, Catherine, also, she was in there. She'd get up and sing also. So it was a real coffee shop, and that was, oh boy, that could have been, yeah, it was about 12.
That's so cool.
77, 78, somewhere in there.
I know, because I did hip hop with my older brother, and there's just there's a total difference in working with a sibling than there is with friends or other people, and
there's a feeling.
There is a total different connection, and I miss it almost, because you just you gravitate to each other because you're siblings, and it just bounce off each other and
just
ideas.
Natural.
It's so perfect. It's
Beautiful.
just kind of like when you're playing, right? So it is. I often wonder siblings in bands Ninja Spy is one of the bands. They're from Vancouver, and it's 3 brothers managed by their dad and their sister. And
wow,
it's just a family thing, but they've always played together, and the music they make is so different because they've just been the 3 making the music together.
Okay.
So it's reggae and metal, and it's got pop punk to it. It's the most unique style you'll ever hear.
And everybody's under one roof.
Yeah, and it's just because the 3 of them, I feel like the 3 of them grew up, and it was because they were so close. Yeah. And mentally so close that when the guitar player is going off on a weird riff, Adam, the drummer, already knows where he's going. Nice. Because versus that years of build up with other musicians.
So one's a guitar player, one's a bass player,
one's bass,
one's a drummer?
and drums, So it's a 3-piece.
That's awesome.
And I think the youngest is the drummer. I'm not quite sure, but he ended up being the drummer for Michael Graves from the Misfits. Oh. So when he went on tour, he played at massive festivals with them. So it's
great name, the Misfits.
I love that.
It's just always a great name.
Always will forever be one of my heroes.
What were you? What was your band's name? The
Pasties.
The Pasties.
Yep.
Man, that was a great band
Good
name.
Old day.
I just love that name. I remember the first time I heard that.
Well, everyone always wondered what it was about, and it was because our music would stick to your head. So it was paste, so it'd stick to your brain like paste. So we were the Pasties. And it's funny because a lot of people would love to see that come back, but
absolutely,
it's just I don't know how we would right now because we're not teenagers and young. I've evolved as a musician to be write so differently that I don't know if I could go back to writing.
Kyle and
songs
I
like
will
that.
never do rubber band ever again.
Right? It's
we play together.
We grow out of it though.
Yeah, we've grown out of that. Yeah. Kyle's got his own thing. Yeah, exactly that. It's of that time, and you guys were lucky you had that time, and you guys are really popular. I really enjoyed you.
We had a lot of fun. That was. I think that was
funny. Yeah.
I think the sad part is the Penticton music scene died way before COVID.
Oh,
in
way
the sense
before.
That just because of venues, the laws of voodoos,
cell phones.
They're definitely helpful, but they're also the biggest hindrance as a musician or creative. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely changed, and the lack of venues too. I find. I always seem to talk about this, but it is there's a huge lack of venues in the Okanagan.
Penticton used
to have 5 venues that you could go to. You had Fibs, you had Hog's Breath, you had Voodoos.
You always had the Parrot.
There was the Parrot, and there was one other one that I can't think of right now.
The Nest. I think Nest and Nectar, they're right.
It's the church across from Penn High.
Oh,
it's that little
yes.
church.
Yeah, yeah.
And they used to host shows in there a lot.
That's right, yeah.
But then Voodoo's is gone, and now it's the Brit Bar.
He doesn't do live music?
He's not.
Oh.
I'm not sure if he does anymore or not. And then you don't have Fibonacci's. You don't have...
Well, the Hub. So you got the Hub.
The Hub and Clancy's are doing real well.
Yeah.
And they're amazing people too, like the venue
Cannery
owners.
and the Tin Whistle Brewery also.
Yes, they
I
do a
think
lot of like
for acoustic
indie rock
stuff.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. We used to have, like, the one thing I always talk about is we need an all ages venue. Like, we need to inspire a new generation because, like,
You're right.
How would we have ever been able to pick up an instrument if we weren't inspired by anyone, right? So
Absolutely.
It's like, how do you get that crossover, like, with a younger crowd?
Like I was saying, my sister, she runs PAMDA in Penticton out of the Lear House there. So she's, has Yanti, working and all. She organizes all these. So that's one of the places is she organizes all these classes and instructors, and they come in and they're teaching. So I guess it's through the Lear House and it's through being involved. I know for a while there, I was actually going to play for PAMDA, and it was for the seniors. And so we were just playing old songs. Some of them were a little bit dicey. It's like, I don't think you can write this today. But the 80-year-olds are just singing along, and you're just playing along. Yeah. That was really eye-opening. That was nice. I liked that.
That's a total different
I might
experience.
go back and do that because my sister still runs that, and she asks me every once in a while. It's just a distance. But so that's a good one because you were trying to think about the youngers because that's what PAMDA does. It brings it all. You get to go to all those concerts and everything just around Christmas time and everything. It's fantastic. It's like going to a school, the high school shows or the elementary school shows, and so it's great. But then to get with the seniors and watch and listen to them singing these old songs and you're playing along, and boy, some of them are pretty questionable.
Right? Some of those old songs are definitely questionable,
I don't think you should say that.
Do you think that over the last 10 years, your view as a musician and wants as a musician have changed?
Yes. Yeah, I don't chase it so much. I just play what I want to play. I don't worry about a dance floor anymore. So I don't, because that was really stressful. Everything was always geared towards, especially after the rubber band, because Kyle was so great at that. He was a DJ for all those years, so he just paced everything really well. For me, when I went out on my own there, it's, oh man, this is really kind of different, and you're using original music. So so I was always worried about, because usually you're playing parties and you want them to dance, right?
Yeah.
And then now I just play on my own. I have a couple of tracks maybe with me sometimes, and then other times just acoustic guitar and me, and that's way better for me. It's just way more relaxing, no stress, smaller crowds, nobody. If they want to dance, get up and dance, but I'm not making you dance, and So yeah, different in that way. I like it. I liked it like that before when there was a certain energy, right? Playing at 9 o'clock at night. Hell, I'm in bed by 9 o'clock at night now, right? That's why you're saying we need the younger ones there because they're the ones that stay up. And
Right? Yeah, no, that too.
I'll play the daytime. They can play the nights.
Yeah. I ask because I find that, like, there's, like, periods as a musician. So you have your stages of, I'm a writer, and you're getting into it, and then you have like the go hard or go home, where you're constantly trying to put yourself out there, and then you tend to have burnout, and then the burnout is a factor on your writing, and then writing takes a bit of a back page, and then, and I find that happens with musicians, and then they hit a point where, like yourself, where you're comfortable.
Yeah.
You don't need to prove yourself.
No.
You do it for yourself versus now I'm like trying to do it for the people. You're back to doing it for yourself, which is where you originally started, which is a really weird full circle moment because you're back to writing music for you versus trying to please people.
I put out an album called Full Circle.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And that's why it's like, it's kind of,
Yeah.
It's, as a musician, it just, like, have you noticed that that's happened?
Do you know one thing that, for me, that hasn't changed in my brain is I'm still creating albums. So the songs, I still have a backload of a lot of songs, and it's percolating, and there's one more coming, I think. So I just don't know how I'm going to present it, but there's one more coming. And yeah, we were talking about, what were we talking about here? About, well, the one thing that hasn't changed is I still write albums. I don't necessarily write singles. I still, because that's what I got into music for. I couldn't wait. You get the album, preferable a gatefold, and you're reading all who wrote what, where did you record this? That was just all fascinating to me, and that is still fascinating to me, and that's really what I still love about it.
Do you find that you've noticed a push more towards singles?
Do I find
that music's pushed more towards singles?
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah, video. I mean, it's
definitely is. I'm still such an album person.
Yeah.
Like I can't.
Can you listen to one song of Dark Side of the Moon? No.
Yeah,
listen to Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, it's a piece of art.
Right.
It's not a collection of songs, and that's what drives me nuts. Is like, you can't just write a song and put 10 songs together and say it's an album. It's like, do the songs flow together? Is there a story? Is there context to why this song is called that and the end song is called that and the album's called this? Like, there's a disconnect between bands and the art they're making, I find.
I agree. My last album that I actually put out was 2019. It's called Davie Street. So I'm a Vancouverite. There's Davie Street in Vancouver, and the Davie Street that when I was growing up in Vancouver, that was where all the dirty work was. You know, that's where Davie Street was. It moved up to 10th and Fraser or something like that, but which I lived on Fraser Street, but at 41st. Anyways, yeah. So that was kind of a reference of more of the old Davie Street. And I was taking old songs from way back, and I kind of put a little story together. So it's like this guy has an argument with his wife and he goes for a drive and now he's down at Davie Street and the down and dirty. And it's just it's not a true story at all. It's just this, I just thought it was kind of neat. And so you have the traffic in between, how you create this world. And you can do it in one song, but it's so much more fun when you do shorter songs, but you create this story. And I just thought that was really kind of fun. I thought that was fun.
I definitely agree. When we were working at the Hedder Merganser and I put out my first solo album, Based in Space, that's what it was.
Right.
It was a concept album of us destroying Earth to the point where we are forced to leave the planet because we can no longer sustain living on this planet and have to go to a new one. And on the second Earth, is which we called Earth 2, we have the same struggle of whether or not we want to change as a society or if we're going to continue with the same structure that we had on Earth.
Yeah.
And every song is like a little small fragment of that. And then you finally get to the final song and you hear it. But for me, it was like this master concept that was just going to be like, everyone was going to love it. Barely got any recognition, but it's like, the thing
marketing.
that really clued into me lately is because it's old to you doesn't mean it's old music.
That's right.
Right? Like a song that is 15 years old to us is never been heard by people can still get picked up and blow up today. And there's a big example of I think it's Stranger Things. They chose a song from like the 80s that was really unpopular at the time and it blew up and now she's massive again.
Kate Smith.
Thank you. Yes. And that's the thing is like music is.
I remember when that song came out.
Right? There is no age limit to music. And this is like one thing I've been with my drummer from Storm the Empire. He's 20 years older than I am. You should see him on a kit.
Yeah.
He would put 15-year-old kids to shame because of how crazy and energetic he is.
Wow.
So like, growing up, I always had the weird concept that you have to make it before a certain age. And then if you don't make it, you got to give up your music career because you got to be an adult.
I think we all thought that.
The older I get, the more I realize just doing it and realizing this is what I want to do. How can I make this a business? How can I go about this logically because
There's room
this is
for
what I
you.
want to do. There's tons.
There's
so
room
much
for all
room.
of us.
Yeah,
And
it's-
think about how we listen to music too. I mean, that's the big thing that's changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we were putting out CDs, and then by 2012, it's like you really want to get this MP3, or you want to get the download card, and and albums weren't even thought about by that time. Now they're big again, which I'll be doing something about that too, because
tapes and VHS are huge right now.
huge, and CDs are huge.
Mm-hmm.
They're really, really big. Thank God.
Yeah, right. Because so many.
But
CDs
there's
sitting
room
around.
for all of it. You can still have your iPod there and play all your music on your phone. You can still, there's satellite. There's room for all of it. It's how do you like to enjoy it? For me, I love the LP. I like the physical. I like the physical music because that was what I was into when I was a kid. So that I'd still go back. That's what I go back to. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm guilty of my favorite thing about CDs was the book.
Absolutely.
Opening up the book every CD every time and just
If there's no book, I'm disappointed.
read the lyrics.
Yeah.
And then when I'm done memorizing the lyrics, I would cut it up and put it on my wall.
Oh wow,
And have a giant collage of all my favorite CDs.
that is really cool.
Yeah, it was a waste of all my books, but I don't even have the CDs now.
No, but you got
sadly,
the
right?
books.
But it was cool at the time. No, I find that is one thing that has definitely changed, and that I'm still trying to process is how people take in music nowadays. It's very it's working as the band's social media guy and as my personal social media, for my own music. It's when you start to look at the statistics and you're looking at your analytics of who's following you, how you're following, how long their attention span is.
Yes.
That's the key thing. How long are these people staying and watching?
Yep.
Their attention spans are 3 to 15 seconds long.
So true.
How can we write art that is going to transcend that time length?
How long does it take for you to put one song together from the start, from writing it to recording it, just to have 15 seconds? It's okay.
Yeah, just swipe. It's very disheartening. But then you start to see that people are getting tired of that too, right? I've noticed.
People seem to be getting more real.
Yeah.
Again, and you knew it would come back.
Yeah, it needed to
It's just going to come down to the acoustic guitar
eventually.
and the acoustic piano or the drum, right?
Yeah.
I want one of those beat boxes. Do you have one of
Oh,
those?
the djembes.
Yeah, those
the
are
wood
great.
square
Yeah,
boxes
you
are
sit on them,
so
and
cool.
that is awesome.
Yeah,
I want that.
I want one too. They're really cool. My next instrument.
I thought you
No,
might have
Harley
had-
has one. The next instrument I really want to learn is tabla.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about Indian music. I'm obsessed with it. I've always
Oh.
loved it. It's so intricate and beautiful, from the singing to the actual melodies and
Oh, back to the Beatles you go.
right. And yeah, that's exactly kind of I find you do go through phases. I'm back in my hip hop phase now because I'm performing and doing hip hop. But when I listen to music, it's never metal. Unless I'm going
No.
to practice and I'm warming up. I listen to a lot of rap and indie rock, but I've been kind of going away from that and going back into Tom Petty and back to the old rock classics, because what makes them last?
Yeah.
Because that's something that I think we're all trying to grasp, is what makes the Beatles the Beatles. That
Queen. Look at Queen.
Yeah.
That's still huge.
it's
Gigantic.
never gonna die, and that's the thing.
That was my band when I was growing up in Vancouver. 13-year-old. I was 13 when jazz came out, and that was my first concert. Was Queen jazz, Freddie Mercury. Yeah. So I saw them 3 times, and I don't think all 3 in Pacific Coliseum, and I don't think any of them were totally sold out.
Wow.
You think about that now.
Right.
Oh, I'm going to go see Freddie Mercury. You'd have to do it at BC Place Stadium 3 nights in a row, right?
Yeah, they would need
Right.
what do you call it? When they're there for a week or so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's crazy. Honestly, what's mind blowing about that is people are always oh, they
It's
support
nostalgia.
they support it's definitely nostalgic, but to think if nobody would have gone to those Queen shows back in the day, just the support that they were given back then for bands to have the opportunity to grow versus what we have now, I find is so night and day, because then it was genuine. People would go out to shows like, oh, there's a show tonight, we're going. We
Yeah.
don't even know the bands, but we're going.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, there's like 20 shows on tonight. I'm not going to any of them.
Yeah.
Why?
I think a lot of that has to do, especially with the newer bands, I would hazard a guess to say that it's formulaed. And that was a problem. Like Sid Barrett from Floyd would never be formulaed. You know, Mick Jagger would never win on The Voice. You know, but these are the greatest of all times, right?
Yeah.
So what does that
Thinking,
tell you? What are we doing? You know, yeah, she can sing great. So can everybody else. But,
Yeah.
you know, where's that original, you know, and we're fortunate. There's a lot of talent out there right now. Like even the modern music today, there's so much great stuff. The women are killing it. They're killing it. We were just watching Lady Gaga just from about 2014. And just killed her.
Early videos are insane.
Oh,
She was so talented.
so
and
great.
It's nuts to think that she writes all her own music. Most people don't think that.
Yeah.
But she is like, she can play multiple instruments and she can record it. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's,
So they
weird.
are out there. They, you know, they are out there. But I do wish that they would get the gloss off and just, you know, not be so formulated. Get the CEO out of the recording studio.
maybe more Janice.
Pink Floyd put out 5 albums before they put out Dark Side of the Moon, and they're all
They
cuckoo.
had 2 albums with Sid, right? And
One album with
well, no,
Sid,
and it was
and
nuts.
then the second,
It was insane. Like you
Piper
listen,
Gates of Dawn.
Yeah, you
Phenomenal.
listen to what is it, Bicycle?
Yeah.
You put Bicycle on by Pink Floyd, and then you put on
Yeah.
anything else, and you're
Anything.
going to be like, this is not Pink Floyd. Sid
Yep.
Barrett was my favorite Pink Floyd, though. Like,
Well, yeah.
Bike is such a fun song to listen to. And
Incredible.
it's just like that was during the acid phase.
Absolutely.
Right? Like he was just, and I think like,
They were recording in the same studio at Abbey Road while the Beatles were doing Sgt. Pepper.
wow. Weird to think the
Yeah, that's-
timeline trends. Weird.
Yeah.
Wow.
How well, you think about Queen in 1977 was recording in the same studio, and next door was the Sex Pistols.
Yep.
And there was a big clash between, was it Johnny Rogers or Sid Vicious?
Sid Vicious.
Sid Vicious. And what are you, Sid Ferocious or something like that? And he
Yeah.
did not like that.
Yeah. It's funny because he was actually the nicest one in the band, apparently.
Yeah,
Sid is
but
just,
apparently he was really drunk.
yeah, and he did a lot of other things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, that's like the English music scene that basically like Pink Floyd, Beatles, Black Sabbath,
Love
Cream.
Sabbath.
Like, you know what I mean? Like they all, funny enough, they were all rebels in their own way that ended up becoming like these idols that everyone thinks
The
are, like, yeah,
establishment.
the establishment. So it's kind of like, it's mind blowing to see how like the music industry changes. Even like the local scene has changed. And it's just, I don't know, like music itself, I feel is something that's just never going to die.
No.
Like there's ebb and flow between
What do you think
genres.
of AI? Scary, but
It is, but I think that it's kind of like inevitable. You know what I mean? Like the more, Jim Morrison called it a long time ago in an interview that eventually music's going to turn into just digital. There's not going to be any singers. There's not going to be any, like.
Freddie said the same thing.
Yeah, biggest music for the last 15 years has been EDM.
Yes.
Electronic dance music has been it, and that's all produced. There's no
Country now
instruments.
is coming back.
Country is definitely coming back. For me, it's like I just don't like the blending,
Oh.
like the pop, country, rap. But I'm like, can we just like keep
Stop it.
certain? You can't put pickles, peanut butter, and cheese all together. It doesn't taste good. Okay, like it just
doesn't.
doesn't work.
You can eat them separately. They're fantastic.
Yeah, but like you just don't put that concoction together. It doesn't
Yeah,
work. So
yeah.
there is a lot of like, I think that's what's kind of cool too now is like because music has evolved so much and there's so many genres that you're having to blend different styles and genres, and it's happened
looking
forever. But
We're
it's,
looking for the new thing.
yeah, and it's like, what is it going to be?
What
though?
is the
That's where
new
I'm always
thing?
wondering, like, what is it? Like even metal, because as a metal musician, you're always trying to push like the hardest, fastest. You know, what's
It's
most
always
technical.
the fastest. Yeah.
And it's like it's gotten to a point where like even the main like Courtney from Spirit Box, which is one of the biggest metal bands from Victoria.
Oh, okay.
They've blown up. They're massive, but she doesn't like the metal industry because it's too formula. Like you said, it's too cookie cutter. All the bands sound the same. The breakdowns are all the same. Singers all have the same techniques, and it's like
what worked before, that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Because we're investing this money into you. We're going to go with the formula. But, you know, gone are the days when, like Floyd was be able to just, they could make 5 albums before they got to Dark Side of the Moon. And they were all pretty strange, pretty weird. I mean, we talked about Piper Gates, but then there's 4 in between there afterwards. And, like, they're strange. Awesome. I love them. But they're really weird.
That's kind of like Radiohead too, though.
Cooper, Alice Cooper, his first 2 albums. You ever listen to them? Holy man.
They're nothing like what Alice Cooper is today, no.
Not a darn, but Frank Zappa invested the money. He was the one who just...
That's a whole other level, Mr. Zappa. Oh my goodness. That guy is... I could spend another entire hour just talking about Frank Zappa with you, because he is on a whole other level than any other musician.
We're lucky. We were there at those times, you know, in those bands, and you get to enjoy them now too. Zeppelin, The Who, you know, man, we were just so lucky. Spoiled.
Yeah.
Musically, we were spoiled.
It's true. And
so nowadays, it's great, but it's all formula and money drives it.
Yep. And that's the biggest downfall, I find. You find your little niche pockets of genuine music, but you really see who lasts 10 years down the road.
And that's why I kind of like shrinking my world now with the music and what I'm playing, you know, so I'm still playing and I'm there if you want to hear me, that kind of thing. But it's just kind of bringing it all like back to mother kind of thing, you know. Yeah, I'm happy with where I'm at right now. Just picking up the acoustic and just strumming away, playing the good old songs, you know, still, you know, your Eagles and your Americas and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right.
We really lived in a renaissance time with the music, so we're very lucky. And yeah, now it's really changing a lot, but look what's out there. There's so much. I mean, you're talking about death metal stuff, and I have no idea.
Yeah,
right?
there's genres you probably haven't even heard of right now.
Right? Yeah, and they're thriving.
There's one band I'll show you after the interview, and they're an instrumental band.
Okay.
No singer. 2 guitar players, drummer, bass player. Like, you want to hear like the Bach, Beethovens of today? These kids are nuts.
Wow. Young guys.
Yeah, I want to say Tim Henson's probably like in his 20s.
Oh wow.
Like, they're pretty young. He looks like he's in his 20s. He's got baby face. He's like half Asian, I believe. So he's just ages really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, these kids kids today are intimidating.
Yeah.
The amount of like the musicianship that these younger kids that are coming up today have to have just to be able to get any recognition. I can't even pick up a guitar, put it against them.
It's unfair.
It's insane that's their minimum just to be able to be heard versus what us was like. We just got to write songs. People enjoyed it. It was awesome. Even today, I just write songs. People come and enjoy it. And I'm like, I'm happy with this.
Thank you.
But like trying to, like, this is why I'm all about inspiring, because there's this weird concept in at least the metal industry and the rock industry that it has to be perfect, that has to be written and recorded properly for anyone to listen. And I feel like that is what is holding music back.
I agree.
Waiting for perfection.
Yeah.
We're never going to write a perfect song. No. The best songs in history all have mess ups in them.
Yes. Yeah.
There is a mess up in Hotel California.
Yeah. I'm wondering if there is one in Bohemian Rhapsody.
I guarantee it.
There must be.
I guarantee it, because they were all done in one take, right? They weren't multiple takes and, I can just cut out this part and put
Bohemian
in that.
was.
Well, yeah, but I mean more or less like the recording aspect of like, they kept those little flaws because they made the song as where we're focused on like, I've got to re-record that because it's not perfect.
Right. Sting, what song is that where he actually bumps into the piano and swears? And it's or something like
so funny. That's hilarious.
And it's in the song.
Right?
McCartney totally makes a flub on Let It Be. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, and he totally flubs it, but it's in there.
Yeah,
You're
and
right.
I think that's what makes it. I think that's like we were talking about earlier. I think that's what kind of has killed the creativity of music to expand further in not an AI aspect. Because they're not like artificial intelligence, but like it's a very digital, very not on hands-on.
Have you thought about doing an acoustic album?
I have. I just don't have an acoustic.
You don't have an
I
acoustic
gotta
guitar?
buy a new one. I had this weird kick of collecting guitars and selling guitars, and I had like 19 guitars at one point.
Wow.
And I had to, the kids started touching them, and I'm like, oh no, I gotta get rid of these, and they're not going in storage. So I'm down to 5 guitars. I've got a Gibson, a PRS.
Well, they're all electric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have an acoustic. I'm waiting. I want to get one, but I really want to get into, I can't remember his name. There's this young guy out there. He plays drums, sings, and like taps all at the same time. Like
Not Ari.
No, not Ari.
You're thinking Don Alder?
No, he's a young kid. He's on like blowing up online and just incredibly talented. But he plays drums on his guitar.
Yeah.
Well, like he slaps, like slap guitar.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the easiest way to call it. But I was really getting into that before I got rid of my acoustic. So
Oh, wow.
I would love to like expand and maybe dive into that more, like more rhythm and less singing.
Check out Don Alder.
I will, for sure.
He's a local guy.
Okay.
He just got the Order of Canada, I believe. And because he was with Rick Hansen. He was actually with Rick Hansen when the accident happened, and Rick Hansen is in the wheelchair. Rick Hansen went around the world. He's a Canadian, went around the world on his wheelchair in the 80s. And Don Alder was there when the accident happened, that he became a paraplegic, I think it was. And then he wheels across, and Don Alder was the only one who actually did the whole tour with him all around the world. He drove the van.
Wow.
And he was, anyways, Don Alder is an incredible guitar player, and he plays all around
And he's
Europe.
local?
No, local guy.
have to reach
I
out to
actually
him.
almost had him on Clear Blue Sky. He was actually laying down tracks for Clear Blue Sky, but it just didn't quite happen. And he just brings his hands right over. It's just, he's insane.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
If, because we're almost at our time, I'm just thinking, I want to get advice for the younger crew because the younger generation is like, that's what the end of my show is always kind of like the same thing. It's
Okay.
like, what advice do you have for emerging artists from somebody who has dealt with every aspect of music?
Well, stay true to yourself. Work hard. Practice. Practice. That really helps. I didn't practice enough. But you should definitely practice. But stay true to what you like. You know, believe in yourself. I would say believe in yourself. And try to be original. Try to be, don't follow the same thing. That's already been done. You're the best you that we've got. So that's what I say. Be original. Practice, because you'll benefit from that, and you'll write better songs. You'll perform much better. But stay true to it. Yeah, keep going, and embrace everything that we've got. The Lennon and McCartney, they in their recording stuff, they had this room where all this stuff that the radio shows would use, and all that kind of stuff, and they had all that stuff, and they just opened up the doors and just bring stuff out, and just so. Use your imagination. Don't be afraid to try new things. There you go.
That's great advice. I think using new things would be a fun.
Yeah, dude.
Break into it in a different way. Go
telling
record
you-
some leaves.
Yeah,
See what it does.
I was telling you, I was laying down some tracks in Scotland over there with Owen, and he's hilarious because he's just walking around the studio banging on things, trying to find the great, and I'm trying to, I've got the click going up, like he's just bang, 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 crack, 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 but he's experimenting, he's trying to see what's going to work. It's really fascinating to watch.
Yeah, producers are, wow, they're weird little monsters
They
in the
are.
studio. Watching the things that their brain thinks of is insane. Like watching Andy, for example, where I'll have this idea and he takes it and puts specific effects on that I've never heard
That you wouldn't have thought
or
of.
thought of.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I love the way that sounds. And yeah,
That's great.
it's weird. Music is such a different being. It's a whole other entity, and I love speaking with musicians because we all have one united goal, which is to write music, but all of us feel it differently. And it hits us differently. It inspires us differently. So it's kind of cool to get everybody's perspective.
And it's capable to cross the barriers, right? I don't have to speak your language in order to play you a song. Yeah.
Exactly. No, it's the universal language, that and math.
We're lucky.
Yep.
Yep.
Steve, I want to thank you so
Thanks
much for
so
doing
much,
this.
Rob.
I appreciate
Thank
it so
you.
much.
It's my pleasure.
We'll catch you guys next time.
Thanks now.